We've now entered the final 2 episodes of HBO's The Last of Us. Now this episode, episode 8, is one I was highly anticipating due to the fact that this chapter is one of my favourites from the game. The episode begins and we can see that things have turned quite chilly, with there being snow all over the place, and we get introduced to David and his group. While he preaches to his flock, a girl asks him whether her father can be buried, and David responds by saying it's too cold out and he'll have to be buried in the spring, but we all know that translates to he's actually going to be in next week's lasagna. With Joel still worse for wear, Ellie has to go outside and hunt, and this time round the bunny does survive. While going after a deer, she comes across David and James, and they agree to split it halfways if they do provide some medicine for her. James goes off to get that, and just on James, he is played by Troy Baker, who is the original actor for Joel in the game. Ellie and David have a chat and he seems like a nice bloke. He's sort of Ned Flanders type, and we learn that he used to be a maths teacher as well, so as Ellie says, he's gone from teacher to preacher, but with this information and from what we learn later in the episode, it actually makes him more of a sinister character. David says everything happens for a reason, and James returns with the penicillin, and they do let Ellie go but later follow her trail. Something I really liked from this episode was the progression of David and how he is with others. Like for example, with his people, they're all very quiet, but if they go out of line, he'll become violent. And the same with James as well. Like he's quite a reserved character, but once he does speak out of line, he gets those piercing eyes on him. So they're all walking a really fine line and not knowing what's going to happen next to his character. And with that, it helps to create that tension as well. Ellie gets back to Joel and injects him with the penicillin, and there's a sweet moment where she lies there with him for a little bit and cuddles up towards him. While David's group are tucking into some venison, him and his men are out there looking for Joel and Ellie. Ellie gets wind of this, so tries to draw them away on horseback, but she gets her horse shot and she gets captured in the process. Luckily, Joel's recovery is pretty quick and he's able to get some stealth kills in, and when it comes to stealth in the game, I was pretty good at that, you know. I never once alerted anybody. Never. Meanwhile, Ellie is in a cage, but she definitely has her ear to the ground as she spots an ear on the ground while speaking to David, and we see him trying to groom her, but she's having none of that and she breaks his finger.
Ellie.
What?
Tell them that Ellie is the little girl that broke your fucking finger!
Back to Joel now, where we have one of his most violent scenes as he's torturing a couple of David's men. He asks them to point on the map where the resort is, and this time round he goes full on savage and takes them both out. As Joel makes his way into the resort, he finds the dead bodies hanging there, and that is an advantage with this being a HBO show. They don't shy away from that graphic content.
Think of the children. Won't somebody please think of the children?
Over to Ellie, and she's about to get chopped up, but she screams to David and James that she's infected. And that gives her enough time where she can brutally take down James and make a run for it into the restaurant. And with the restaurant, I was like,
and here we go.
We're getting into the endgame territory now, and due to that, there are more moments from the game that are vivid, and the restaurant scene in particular is definitely one of those because I spent so much time running around in there. Ellie kills David in the most ferocious manner, just like we see in the game, and it may be David's death scene, but the camera is always on Ellie because this is her moment. Ellie gets herself outside and reunites with Joel, and Bella Ramsey was fantastic again here, where we have that face of horror swiftly turn into relief as she realises who it is. She hugs Joel and Joel says to her, "It's okay baby girl, I got you," and this really was and is the pivotal moment for this pair.
Okay. It's okay baby girl. I got you.
In the game, Joel runs into the restaurant to pull Ellie away while she's killing David, and I think I do enjoy that ending more than the show one, but they both have their merits.
Ellie! Stop! Stop!
Fucking touch me!
It's okay. It's me. It's me. It's me. Look. It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
Joel.
It's okay.
With some TV shows and films, they can be accused of having too much padding, but I think with this part of the story, I honestly wouldn't have minded a bit more. The show overall has definitely prioritised drama over action, no doubt about that, but for sure we could have had some more action scenes, I think, sprinkled along in there, and it wouldn't have harmed the process too much, you know. And I think as much as I do enjoy delving into the depths of humanity and the monsters of humanity, it's nice to have the infected there as that presence. But call me a greedy bastard, I just wanted more because I really enjoyed this episode, and next week's finale, that's only 43 minutes long. It's the shortest episode out of the whole series, so we'll have to see how they conclude it all.
I'm not just ready. I'm ready, Freddy.
It's Larry.
But where does episode 8 rank for you amongst the rest? Let me know in the comments below. And from The Last of Us to anime, on screen right now is our review for the new Demon Slayer movie.